Project Area 51 by Giovanni Sticco. Copyright 2025 WGA West. Johnny had always been drawn to the unknown. The mysteries of the universe, UFOs, aliens, and strange events that happened in Area 51 had consumed his thoughts for as long as he could remember. His dreams were vivid, often filled with aliens and UFOs, breathtakingly real. But it wasn't just dreams. He had witnessed strange things in his own home multiple times. One night, after returning from an evening out, Johnny opened the door to his dimly lit house. The hallway was eerily quiet, the soft hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen carried on. As he stepped inside, a flash of movement caught his eye. At the far end of the living room, something small and grey scurried across the floor, moving on all fours beneath the table. Johnny froze, his heart pounding. The figure was unlike anything he'd ever seen, a grey, alien-like baby. Without thinking, he rushed into the room, his eyes darting for any sign of movement, thinking it could have been. The room was dark, and in the dim light, he saw his cat, Macy, curled up and sleeping soundly on the couch. She had not stirred, unaware of the strange visitor that had just crossed the room. Confused, Johnny backed up toward the table. The alien-like being had vanished, leaving only a lingering unease in the air. He moved cautiously, lifting the tablecloth, heart racing. There was nothing underneath the table. No small creature. No alien. Just the empty, familiar space. Johnny felt his breath catch in his throat, unsure of what he had just witnessed. Had it been a trick of the light? Or was it something more? He glanced at Macy once more. She was still sound asleep, oblivious. This eerie encounter, along with the night before with strange lights circling around his house, was the spark that ignited Johnny's obsession with the unknown. He knew he had to uncover the truth about UFOs, aliens, and the secrets surrounding Area 51. He packed his camera and set off to explore the desert, determined to document his findings and uncover the truth. The drive from Las Vegas to the extraterrestrial highway was only about 2 hours, but it felt like entering another world. The bright lights of the city quickly faded into the rearview mirror, replaced by the vast, empty desert stretching out in every direction. Johnny felt a pull, as if the land itself was drawing him deeper into the unknown. Everywhere he looked, strange reminders of his destination popped up, even a green alien painted on a rock with the words, "Let's get abducted." Along the way, Johnny stopped at a few small towns, setting up his camera and interviewing locals about their experiences with UFOs and strange occurrences. Some people laughed it off who wore alien masks and alien t-shirts, others spoke in hushed tones about mysterious lights in the sky and unexplainable events late at night. Johnny recorded it all, knowing his documentary would be something special. One stop took him to the infamous alien jerky shop. The shop, nestled along the highway, was plastered with alien-themed signs and trinkets. Inside, the air smelled of dried meat and mystery. The shopkeeper, a man who looked like he'd lived here his entire life, greeted Johnny with a slow, weathered smile. "I'm making a documentary," Johnny said, holding up his camera. "I'm asking people about UFOs and alien encounters. What's the strangest thing you've heard?" The shopkeeper scratched his head, glancing over the rows of jerky packages adorned with cartoon aliens. "We get folks all the time with stories. Some swear they've seen flying saucers in the desert. Others hear strange noises. But no one talks much about it. People just want to get on with their lives." Johnny nodded, intrigued by the nonchalance in the man's voice. He thanked him, grabbed a packet of alien jerky for the road, and continued. His next stop was supposed to be the Steve Medlin black mailbox, but when he arrived, it was gone. The mailbox, once a symbol of the unknown, had been removed. Still, Johnny couldn't resist. He stopped, his camera capturing the open land where the mailbox had once stood. The emptiness of it seemed to hold its own significance, as if the land itself was a witness to countless untold stories. Johnny took a photo, feeling the weight of the place. Next, Johnny visited the Area 51 research facility, a large gift shop and tourist attraction. Outside, a giant tin alien statue stood, its oversized head and glowing eyes both comical and eerie against the backdrop of the desert. Johnny snapped a few photos, but there was an undeniable chill in the air, a sense that something beyond the kitchen novelty was waiting just out of sight. Inside, the shelves were stocked with alien toys, conspiracy theory books, and pamphlets about UFO sightings and government cover-ups. Johnny spoke with a worker, a young man who seemed to have heard every UFO-related question 100 times. "I'm making a documentary," Johnny said, holding up his camera. "What have you heard from people about UFOs and strange occurrences in this area?" The worker shrugged, clearly indifferent. "People come in here all the time with stories. Some swear they've seen lights in the sky, some say they were abducted. I don't know what to tell you. I've been here a while, and nothing weird's happened to me. But then again, maybe they don't want me to know." Johnny nodded, considering the weight of the clerk's words. It seemed the townspeople of Rachel and the surrounding desert had seen things. Some embraced the mystery, while others stayed quiet, afraid. After a few more interviews at other roadside attractions, a small motel with UFO-themed rooms, a diner where tourists hunched over maps discussing the latest sightings, Johnny finally made his way to the Little Alien Inn. Here, most of the serious UFO hunters gathered. As Johnny stepped inside, the strange energy of the place hit him immediately. Alien figurines, photos of UFO sightings, and newspaper clippings covered the walls, thick with stories both old and new. Johnny settled at the bar and introduced himself to Marla, the bartender. "I'm making a documentary," Johnny said. "What about you? Have you ever seen anything strange?" Marla stared at him for a long moment, her eyes calculating. Finally, she spoke, her voice low but steady. "You're not the first person to ask about UFOs. I've heard all kinds of stories, some real, some, well, I don't know what to make of them. But I'll tell you this, Johnny, there's something out there. I can feel it." Johnny leaned in, his curiosity piqued. "What's out there?" "The lights," she said, her gaze flickering toward the window. "The things that hover in the sky. I've heard people say they've been taken, abducted, they say. Some remember everything. Others, nothing. But they all have one thing in common: fear. When they talk about it, you see it in their eyes." Johnny's spine stiffened. "Have you seen anything?" Marla didn't answer immediately. She poured herself a drink and stared out into the desert, lost in some distant memory. "A long time ago," she said quietly, "I saw something. And I haven't been the same since." Her words hung in the air, heavy with unsaid meaning. Johnny wasn't sure what to make of them, but he knew she wasn't lying. Something about the way she spoke made him believe her. Later that night, Johnny couldn't shake the need to go out into the desert. After everyone had gone to bed, he climbed into his car, turning on the heater to ward off the chill, and tuned into Coast to Coast AM, which was discussing UFO sightings in the area. As he sat back, eyes trained on the sky, a sense of anticipation filled the air. The desert called to him, pulling him deeper into its mysteries. Then, a hum filled the air, low, vibrating through the car. Johnny's breath caught in his throat. There it was. A craft. It hovered silently above the desert, darting from one spot to another, defying all logic. The radio crackled with static, and the temperature inside the car plummeted. Johnny's heart raced as a beam of light shot down from the craft, illuminating the desert in an eerie glow. He was frozen, caught in the light, as the radio screamed with high-pitched static. For a moment, Johnny wasn't sure if it was real or a dream. Then, just as quickly as it had appeared, the craft shot up into the sky, vanishing without a trace. The beam of light disappeared, and the desert fell silent once more. Johnny sat in the car, his heart pounding, his mind racing. Had it been real? Or had it all been a hallucination? Exhausted and unsettled, he drove away the next morning, the image of the craft still fresh in his mind. As he glanced at his reflection in the rearview mirror, his eyes wide and bloodshot, he realized that something had shifted. Something deep within him had changed. Something he couldn't explain, but would never forget. For the first time, Johnny wasn't sure if it had been a dream, or something far more real than he could comprehend. The end.